Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I have another really good deck I've been wanting to share with you guys for a while. This is the Wind Lightning Seifer deck. DCM stands for Disciplinary Committee Member. So this is the Seifer DCM deck. It's definitely something that I think has been overlooked for a real long time, pretty much since the start of Opus 6. And this is from a good friend of mine, Adam DeLucia. He got top 16 at Gen Con. Incidentally, there was two of this deck. Not this, obviously not the same deck, but they were both running the DCM package, the Seifer package, and they both made it to top 16. Unfortunately, they didn't get to top 8, so that's why you guys didn't see them or hear about them. But again, I did have the opportunity to play this deck while we were there, play it like against others for pickup games, and then play it against me as well. It's very strong. It's very good. I do enjoy, and then since then, I've recently played a variant of this deck, if you will, of my own. I've had a lot of different versions of it, gone through. It's one of my regulars that I play, or I've been thinking of at least all the time. It's definitely a good combination. Wind Lightning is not a strange combination either. We've seen this before back in Opus 3. It was really strong, since Opus 4, right? That's when Orlando came out. And ever since we saw that, it's been very strong. And there's been different versions, the Lucid Dreaming version, and now this one is probably the most prominent. And then, there's a bunch of versions you can play of this deck. And so that's why I wanted to bring it up to you. So I guess we'll just get right into it now. We're playing 2 Rigvia, and then so a lot of the focus is around Seifer, right? Well, the main focus is Seifer. So you have to understand what Seifer does. Seifer, whenever he blocks or is blocked, he can choose a forward or reduce it by 2,000. And if he's not blocked, if he deals damage to your opponent, he will, let me rephrase that, he will reduce your opponent's board by 2,000. So that's really strong. He is a little bit under curve. He's a 3/6. He's a 3 cost 6k. But he has a lot of effects. His effects compensate for that, So he will win anything. He will be able to beat most 7Ks, like if they block him or he blocks them or whatever. But then with the Rage and Infusion, he gets haste and First Strike. And First Strike is the very important one, and that's what this deck has to incorporates a lot. You have to expect to have First Strike the whole time. So whenever all this damage accumulates and you're blocking Seifer, I'm gonna hit you anyway. I'm either gonna kill you first, or you're gonna I'm gonna put you in a position where you're not gonna want to block and then reduce your forward, and then I can deal more damage to you. You understand? And so that's what you have to think about when you're playing this deck. And so, like I said, we're starting off with 2 Rigvia, and deal 3k to an active forward, and then you can duel something else, which is great. We do have the Ilua, and Ilua might not seem to fall under that necessarily, but her S does help reduce the board. So that's another way for you to, let's say they do attack, let's say they do let Seifer go through and you reduce, and then you can have Ilua here to S ability and reduce by another 2k. And then we also have like Cyclops later, and we'll talk about that in a sec too. But that's, there's a lot of reduction here too, so it's something that Lightning does really well. And Ilua is just a great card. We know that her passive is just insane. We do have the Onion Knight also to choose damaged forwards. So obviously if Seifer fights something he can't kill with the First Strike, Onion Knight can finish the job. Going a little further down, we do have the Alcid. But we also have Y'shtola, and Y'shtola is very important to protect. I think the most important thing that I learned about this deck is that Seifer is crucial. The rest, I really like Adam's choices here for cards because it doesn't the deck itself doesn't fall off when you don't draw the Seifer or when you lose the Seifer, because the Alcid and Zidane and Estinian and even Orlando are really great cards, and they're boss. You have other cards that kind of do a lot of exceptional things and help you win the game. But if Seifer goes untouched or unbothered, like Y'shtola is here to protect him for that reason, or protect your other your boss cards. It's just really well, and there's a good balance here. But yeah, Y'shtola is here for that protection, and she's just a great card too. Doesn't receive damage from any summons or abilities, so it's just super annoying to deal with. The Alcid here. Now, Alcid's going to be super versatile here. You have the Rigvia, you have the Ilua, Onion Knight, and even the Seifer. So pretty much any of the other lightning forwards, 3 costs or less, obviously, you're going to be able to drop. And they all have their quirks. So you can do Ousted into Regia, pop something 9, and then dull the next thing. Ousted into Ilua, pop something 6 or less, and then you have a haste forward. Onion Knight, 11k in total, and then Seifer, 6, and then attack. Now here, if your Seifer has haste at this point, and they block, then they'll already have taken 6 damage, and you can either reduce it to break it, or reduce it, break it, and then still deal first strike to it. So he pretty much deals a lot, like I think potentially 6k damage, like depends how you look at it really. Or let's say it was something 14, right? And then Ousted deals 6, 14k. What I mean is Ousted deals 6, Seifer attacks, he's blocked by the 14. You reduce it to 12, then Seifer's first strike will hit it. That's, you kill a 14k forward right there. Obviously, I probably wouldn't block, but it's still something to think about. See, that's just the kind of versatility the Seifer has. And then going further down, another great card, something very super annoying to deal with. And again, if it goes unpunished, like if you don't deal with this card is very problematic for most people too. So Zidane, the L cannot be chosen by opponent's abilities and gets rid of a forward in your hand. So if you were saving some power play for your combos or something, or anything else, Zidane forces you to play it, or forces you to pitch it, because if not, he's going to be plussing. And then we have the 2 other boss monsters. The first one is Estinian at 3. This card is so I've recently just finished completing my playset of Estinians, and let me tell you, it is mad fun to play this card. As you know, I don't normally play Lightning. I'm always up against Lightning, and Lightning always has a good showing down here in South Florida for locals. But finally, I've been playing versions of this deck, so I've been playing Estinians now, and it's too much fun. And dealing with him is a pain in the butt, really, and I can't get over that. So you know what he does, but I'll say it anyway. When Estinian is blocked, break the blocking forward. That's the main thing. And then you can activate him again and attack twice. So he's dealing 2 points of damage. And if you notice here, like, there's already a lot of removal and a lot of reduction, but, and then Estinian is one of those cards that if you don't deal with, or you can't punish, can't get rid of, he's just gonna walk right over you. And then we have Orlando. Now, I did mention all this different ping damage, and Orlando is another one that benefits from that. So let's say you're short of the Seifer, or short of the Estinian, and all you end up is Rigdia, Onion Knights, or you're not even drawing the Alcids, for example. Rigdia, Onion Knights, and then Orlando helps compensate for that too. He's a big boss monster, 5'9", and whenever he enters the field, choose the damage forward and break it. So it helps out very well. To get rid of stuff like, you can always just summon Rigdia and then summon Orlando or whatever. Deal it, break it. Same thing with Alcid, and let's say you Alcid, or let's say they block, or, whatever, you just throw the Rigdia or Relu into them. Orlando's another good way to do it. We do have other cards in this deck that I'll talk about in a sec. But I just wanted to go over these forwards, mention, like you can see yourself, we have the Cactuars and we have the Scholars and stuff like that. And even some of the summons are there to help out with this. So these are really good cards. You could also use his ability, choose forward. It loses 7,000 power until the end of turn. Activate Orlando. It's great. He has potential to be like a secret blocker, and you can also like reduce whatever is attacking or reduce something else to kind of value, to get value on him. Let's say you're blocking something 8k, you can S and then reduce something that is already 7k, break that, block the other one, and then break this one. So I love the the option there to deal with that. I'm gonna move on to the backups now. Now I do want to talk about these backups a little bit too. So here we have Adam does play one Ninja, and like I was just talking about the Orlando, Ninja is a really good way to help set up the Orlando plays as well. You don't also only have to use your forwards or the forwards effects, because they are a little expensive. It is a little expensive for a turn to play a Rigdia and then a 5-drop. So this is a cheaper way. Ideally, you'd have a Ninja already on your backup line, excuse me. And it's just good. You also have to think about this in terms of Seifer. Let's say he's fighting 8Ks. Or even 10Ks, you can deal 2 damage, fight it, reduce it by 2, and then first strike it. So there's a lot of opportunity here for this card. It is a 1-of though, because there are other cards that this deck uses. Next is obviously the important one, one of the main ones you always want to have open. In my opinion, you want to open this one and or Fujin, but the card name Seifer gains haste, and then an S. Choose and dull. Choose one active forward, deal at 8k. You can only use this ability if you control card name Seifer and card name Fujin. So, yeah, pretty simple, but very important for the engine. And he's also the DCM, disciplinary committee member. Red Mage, choose a forward, gains haste. You all know it. This also helps with all your other stuff. If you want to go for, really helps go for game when your opponent doesn't have like enough forwards to block. But you guys know that already. I just like saying it all the time because it's a great card. It happens to me all the time. Scholar, put Scholar into the break zone. Choose up to 2 active forwards your opponent controls. Deal them 3k. Now this is it's good for the Layla Viking stuff and even some other things, but it's just another way to open up damage. Same way you can do this and then somehow get Orlando, break 1 and attack with, or you can do this first, attack with Seifer, hopefully they block, deal with something, and then if they don't expect it, then you can also summon the Orlando, kill the second one. That way it just kind of puts your opponent in a fork where you have to choose between one way or the other, but either way you get both, so just something to think about. Again, this deck is super, it works really well. I really do enjoy it. And then White Mage, obviously for kind of deal with all that recursion, slow your opponent down a lot. We do have the Aerith, just like the Ishtola. We have this for protection reasons. It's also good just to speed up the deck a little bit. You can tap 3, play this, and then tap 3 to play the Fujin or whatever, and then just keep going from there. Or it lets you help get plays with your other combos, the Orlando or anything like that. But great card. It's been around since Opus 1. And we all know those cards are great. We do have the Fujin also. EX Burst, which is my favorite part. It happened. I don't know. I feel for me personally, it happens more times than. It happens a lot, which I appreciate. So I like having multiple ciphers. You're getting them, and then the card, this one's just as important as well. Gives Seifer first strike, and it is during your turn. So it's very important to remember that. Some people forget that, but it is good to know. Next is Fusoya. Fusoya deals 7 times damage to deal it. 1 point of damage to yourself. Now I know the cost is very great, but Fusoya has always been a great card. And when I was talking to Adam about this deck, he told me that it's another way to kind of deal with stuff or help prevent like your opponent from setting up. So if you're not getting to your cards, and I've always been a fan of this. You guys know some of you might know I played Fusoya back in Boston, and we're very fond of that. I've grown fond of this card, so having one of in this deck is always a real good idea. Seems like a good idea to me, considering you have all this extra ways of dealing damage and reducing power. So it's not a bad card. We can just move on. We do have one Cactuar. The Cactuar is a great card, just that, like again, for extra ping damage. It's simple, and then if worst case scenario, you can always deal the 10k. It's a strong card. I'm glad to see it in this version of this deck. And then we're going to the summons. We are playing double Cyclops, double Ramu, double. Well, let's go into Cyclops first. EX Burst reduces your opponent's board by 3,000. And then imagine hitting this with the Fusoya. You can pop stuff and reduce. You can hit it and hopefully it reduces enough to kill it. If you're lucky enough to get it, really. But this helps with. The reason I think this card is important in this deck is because a lot of your 3 costs, a lot of your forwards are a little underwhelming. So Zidane is underpowered. He's a 4/7. Alcid is a 4/6. Shtola is a 3/7. She's probably the best one, but everyone else is a little underpowered here. And so having Cyclops in your hand is good for that reason. Ramu, just a great card, helps deal with other different monsters, and just has a lot of good options and versatility. Now the one Exodus is very important too. You do have a lot of different numbers here. You have 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this gives you options if you're behind. He's only playing the 1, but it is a really good card. I like it a lot. And then the Diabolos at 2. Also just really good for options. And that's what this deck does. I guess going down to it further, what's really important is having these options, whether to pop or reduce, or putting your opponent in all these situations, and then controlling the board. and then Seifer is a really great card to do that. So yeah, guys, this is the deck. I want to thank Adam again for letting me share this. I know it's he's probably wondering why it's taken so long. I've had a lot of decks that I've been showing you guys lately. I do have one more I'll probably show you guys next week, and then after that will be Nationals. So in about 2 weeks I'll share all that with you. Guys, please let me know if you have a version of this deck. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what everyone's considering, or what you're decided to play with the Seifer package, the DCM package. Yeah, also leave your comments below. You know how it is, and don't forget to like and stuff. I will catch you guys later.